For sure, the plebs would riot this afternoon.
Yes, I think we are safe in saying that we can officially do the song My Name is Couch Coop and When Ubisoft Was Born. Sing it, mate, sing it. Avec le Ubisoft, le Simon Le Bon. Welcome to my Assassin's Creed Unity review. I am Cultural Coop. Released on 8th generation systems in 2014. Look at the hair, look at the bouncing on the hair, not a single bit of texture popping anywhere on this section of game, and it was notorious for me on the PlayStation 4. We are running this at ultra high settings, 60 frames per second, only 1080, but dang is this crisp, absolutely beautiful interiors, and with the time period, all that decor, it really comes together in the front end of the game. Has Unity, like Syndicate, had any recent updates on frame rate, that sort of thing, for 9th generation systems, i.e. consoles? Unfortunately not, but PC owners have been enjoying these top-end visuals for a very long time now, over 10 years. It's the hair. I've never seen the hair look so good in this game. Can we move on from the hair? I'm timing this video with a big sort of social media surge on the crowd mechanics with this game, particularly Unity and I would say Syndicate to a certain extent, and here's how I pitch it. CDPR, bless them, Cyberpunk 2077, as you know, is a great game, but they could not manage this level of intricacy on NPC reaction and numbers and detail. It has now become the stuff of legends. We'll break it down in more detail because it doesn't come without its flaws, but it clearly affected the performance of the game over on 8th gen. It wasn't falling over, but you could just tell when you were in a busy area. Having it on PC, it's kind of almost flawless as a performance experience. The other thing that really lit my fire was these parkour mechanics. They're loads more workable. There seems to be like a diagonal cone out in front that links up different bits of furniture far more naturally and easily than we see in recent AC games. I think they linearized it, that's not a word. I think they sort of made it a bit more narrow. This may be something that comes with the territory for the city that the game is based in, but I think that should be our first port of call. Paris, during the old Revolution, the old Les Miserables, is freaking chaos. There's like protests and fire and rubbish and derelict debris everywhere. I'm not going to do that joke again. I did it last time. Paris looks great nowadays, honestly.
I'll settle this soon enough.
It's also big on disguise and blending in and ordnance against your close quarters weaponry, which we'll look at in a bit more detail in a second. One of the things that stood out to me with these larger crowds when looking at this previously on console is that sometimes their idle animation would sync and they would all be doing the same thing. It would look terrifying, particularly within the opening theatre mission. I didn't see too much of it over on PC. It could just be coincidence that you run in at the wrong time and everything's lined up, but that one was very obvious when I last went to this game, and I can safely say it did not pop up much. Also, NPC duplication and outfits and behaviours, they just seem to be varied enough to convince you that you are in a slightly randomly generated bunch of people. I'm also seeing massive improvement on the detail on faces, skin textures, all of it within the cutscenes between the missions. That one is thankfully up to the graphics level being pushed. It's all very impressive, particularly for a game that came out in 2014.
So, who or what will take its place? Another king? A council of capable men?
That is the question, isn't it?
A truce, then.
What the devil was that about?
Sticking with the subject of Paris, this atmospheric street work, amazing lighting, bit of mist, lamps all in the right places, and the joy of the ground level gameplay is that the majority of these shop fronts or house ground level buildings have a straight through path in them that always have an open window. Was glass even invented? Glass was invented. There's a goddamn stained glass church behind you. But my point being, you can scuttle around, really get out of trouble, go right through a workshop or something like that. You don't see a lot of this in modern AC games. I was playing Shadows recently. The majority of buildings are just shut off to you, unless you're playing as Yuxane and you just run straight through it. That video's coming up, by the way. The darkness, the rain, and the wet look are really massive things in this game, particularly with the rooftop weather and how desolate everything looks. It's beautiful in places, even though loads of grey and loads of drab visuals. There's something attractive about the way Paris is presented in this video game.
If you can pluck your head from your own arse, come find us.
Nice polite bit of NPC dialogue there, particularly for a church. Someone should probably have a word. This is purposely supposed to wow. There was loads of interior cathedral imagery surrounding this game's release. Of course, the famous Notre Dame building, and that's been integral in the reconstruction after the colossal fire it suffered. Let's talk about its absolutely bat crazy story and campaign. For me, it's just one of the areas that takes my immersion away from the atmosphere they're trying to create with this amazing city. The front end stuff is just a little bit wild, that's what I'm trying to say. But things do start settling down eventually. It stops with the time travel. Some of it feels like that stuff in Bioshock Infinite with Elizabeth opening portals everywhere. But things really start to flesh out, and the whole thing's got this gritty, grimy look. You also spend quite a lot of time in the catacombs, in dingy tunnels, and dealing with very unsavoury individuals. Enough about my Friday night. I might put that in all my videos.
These are the words spoken by our ancestors, the words that lay at the heart of our creed.
Stay your blade from the flesh of the innocent.
Hide in plain sight.
Never compromise the Brotherhood.
Let these tenets be branded upon your mind.
Let's touch on the UI very quickly because I know it's such an interesting topic, but this is surprisingly uncomplicated, and it also offers you a good look at cool stuff. I like that idea. You've got something to work to, and of course the two-handed and pistols and the guillotine gun. I mentioned this briefly when I was talking about the game again. Syndicate and Black Flag, God rest its soul. I love this heavy stuff. There's pikes, there's rifles that even double up as two-handed close quarters weapons, and the outfits. There's two tiers of it. You can actually switch out your head, thorax and abdomen, but you can also go full on with a complete outfit. You've even got the man with the iron mask in there and some retro gear from previous Assassin's games. Absolutely amazing. The officer's blunderbuss is obviously a go-to, and you can also hack stuff, get it upgraded as well, and you don't technically have to be a vendor to meddle around with any of your ranking on the equipment front. Okay, let's get to some fighting because that UI section, that nearly bored me. The water does not look bad, right, for 2014. Now, I'm playing Syndicate in the background as I'm doing this video quite literally. Now, Syndicate makes a terrible mistake of putting a very large white line around whoever you're fighting, kind of its rudimentary focal system. This does kind of do it, but it is not immersion spoiling, and the camera zooms in, things look so smooth, it's very plush feeling, if there is such an expression for an assassination kill. They have also implemented, and I don't mind seeing more of this, early projectile range, protecting the vantage points or the synchronization towers. You've got to do a little bit of work. You can't just clamber up anything. The gore, again, still through the roof, and I mentioned that in the Shadows and Mirage reviews. You've got to give Ubisoft a pat on the back for not toning that down. I'm surprised their games aren't PG at the moment, to be honest. Getting to see some of these steeples, some of the intricate architecture at the tops of these phenomenal buildings is just incredible for me. I love the rooftop running. It is one of the best in the games. Syndicate also because it's London, but this is just incredible looking and feeling, particularly with those nice, loose, workable parkour mechanics. You can actually just leap to your death if you want to. Some Assassin's Creed games will not allow that leap, they'll put you into the hang. But with this, it's like, if you think that's doable, mate, go for it. Just going back to that combat briefly, if you've only ever played an AC game from Origins onwards, you may be a bit baffled at how simple the combat feels. It's literally a one-button push for close quarters. However, in its defense, you do have that weaponry and you have a dodge and block. Now, here's one of the most noticeable things about that close quarters material. The choreography is amazing. Depending on what you're swinging, depending on when you block or who's fighting you, loads of outcomes are different. It's pretty incredible. You've got like swashbuckling moves, you've got big hammers and the pikes. Everything is an individual look to it when it comes to getting in a tangle. And you are getting in a tangle almost constantly. There's two factions of enemies essentially. You've got the rebels who are always on your case, and it keeps stating to you that they remember what happens. I'm not too sure how that works when they're dead as doornails on the ground, but you kind of have a reputation thing going on, and you will get clocked quicker if you've annoyed different factions. Sometimes that block, which is also pick up things on the ground and also disable stuff. I'm trying to get this bell taken out and it's just not happening. Some of its jank is completely overlooked because of its brutal violence. I think that's a fair exchange, to be honest. This clip here, I've been mucking around with some of the advanced graphics sections to try and get some sharper edges or to stop it dipping in frame in sections. It's got a very strange thing on camera rock, so it's going from left to right very slightly. This is a bit disorientating for me when I'm trying to work out from having performance issues. I had a theory on this and it's just Gears. Gears of War was out and about at that time, and that camera is basically like being on a boat in a massive storm. It just doesn't stay still for a second, particularly if you're sprinting or running. So maybe that was just a trend at the time. But back to the combat and the performance and the amount of NPCs on screen, it doesn't affect anything. It's pretty amazing. And thinking back, that may have been really only one of the major complaints with the game. That and that bloke with the eyeballs hanging out his head.
Yes, fine.
Moderate!
So I put this clip on social media. Just have a look at how reactive that crowd is and how they blow my cover and how no one squats down Cyberpunk. Along with that always being hassled on the street thing, there is a combative to that situation, and it is of course the disguise mechanic. They hold it back, I feel, but it's amazing to get it going, and it just allows immunity when things get really busy, but it doesn't last too long, and of course you need to charge it.
Hey, you want some fun?
Don't forget to talk about its lockpicking mechanic. Oh my god, the red chests are so high ranked. Normally you can see with the amount of ticks on the lock whether it's going to be doable or not in early game, but that isn't always obvious to everybody, and so failing at those is completely hilarious. We do also still have the awesome tradition of drugging someone with a harpoon, turning them insane and making them attack their entire own team. It's almost like an incendiary grenade. It just works and is funny, and they use it in loads of previous games, and of course Syndicate's got a really strong aspect on this, so I may be talking about that more in the future.
Take deep breaths. Move it!
Do not forget, this is heavily in the online era of 8th gen, and it pushes that Brotherhood system onto you big time, and there's loads of co-op missions lying around everywhere. Please don't quote me on any of that server status. This is obviously a single player, technically offline review. I will take all of those Uplay freebies. But the secrets, how big the city is, all the different submissions, I could go on about all of that for another 20 minutes. I won't. One of the things I was thinking about on that whole crowd anomaly situation is that this is an AC Creed game that's in an engine that doesn't have any vehicles in it. And I think that freed them up loads of room to flood it with NPCs. They're not having to worry about traffic and roads and pavement. Syndicate almost tries to straddle both of those worlds. It's a very interesting video game as well. So stay tuned for that content.
Stop and discuss your opinions with me. I don't have time for your rambling.
In conclusion, AC Unity is an incredible video game and totally stands the test of time and is extremely enjoyable at these ultra settings over on PC. I've said it before, it's kind of like a remaster for me because I've only really looked at that 8th gen material. I feel it's also a slice of history, particularly for Ubisoft and the Assassin's Creed series. It could have peaked with what they are doing or trying to achieve with these open world game concepts. Shadows is a million miles from this, but not a million miles in the wrong direction. I will link the review. My name was, of course, CouchCoop, and I very much look forward to seeing you down there. Brackets, just remaster Black Flag for God's sakes. Brackets, here's a rare clip of Ubisoft meeting Tencent.
I expected a stronger spine than yours. What will your master say?
Oh God! Lord help me!